everybody, Proxy Table Gaming Hyper G here today for a very exciting video, and this is because it's on something that we've never really done a video on before, because it's the first of its kind. But before I talk about what it is, etc., I'm going to introduce to you the person who is with me, John Wallace, author extraordinaire of the Ninth Age. Hello.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
It's great to have you here because this is an exciting time for the Ninth Age, isn't it?
It is. I hope so, yes.
Yeah, because we have got the very first Ninth Age novel, haven't we?
Absolutely, yes. I'm excited for everyone to get to see this. It's been a lot of work and really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, before we start talking about the book in itself, if you wouldn't mind, do you want to just tell us a tiny little bit about yourself and your interaction with the Ninth Age?
Sure, yes. I'm John. On the forum, I'm the Dark Fourth. I am the assistant head of the background team, and I've been in the background team since pretty near the beginning. 2015 I joined. So I've worked on Ninth Age background for a long time. It's been an absolute joy. Uh, just a really fun project to be involved with, and this is sort of a culmination of that. It's been really nice to be able to like show what the setting can do with this book. Um, so yes, and more about myself. I am a Saurian Ancients player. I was
Yes, brilliant.
telling you earlier. Yes, I've been on this show before to talk about Saurian Ancients background, which was really great.
Yeah.
So that's my main thing. Yeah,
No,
I'll
that's
stop there.
great. That's brilliant. That's really cool. And I mean, you've mentioned Saurian Ancients, so I already like you. So it's all good. It's all good. Do you get to play very much these days?
Yeah, I sort of stopped for a few years because I was living in America and I couldn't find anyone playing nearby. But I am kind of active again. I go to a club in London. Um, uh, yeah, I'm a pretty casual player. I don't really go to tournaments very much,
Sure.
unfortunately. But yeah, really enjoy it.
Brilliant. Awesome. Well, good stuff. But of course, we're not really here to talk about yourself and my love of Saurians or anything like that, because we've got a novel to talk about, haven't we? So let's talk about the book. It is called, as you can see on your screen on the left-hand image, it's called The Evocation of Souls, which is an awesome title right from the off. So am I correct in saying that this is the very first official Ninth Age novel?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yes, it's unless somebody's written something that I'm not aware of, it would be surprising.
It would be. It would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, it must be exciting for you. It's exciting for the whole of the Ninth Age, I think. Um, so yeah, really, really, really cool. And just quickly before we get any further, I would quickly like to read out the blurb, if that's okay with you, Mr. Author.
Yeah, go for it.
Brilliant. Okay, so forgive me if I murder any of the names or anything like that, but let's go. So, Ankara lives in the desert kingdom of the dead, a land long cursed to a restless eternity and guarded by skeletal armies. This is her home, but when the kingdom demands the sacrifice of her body and soul to create a vessel for its goddess, Ankara finds herself on the run from her own people. Yet fate is not so easily outrun, and Ankara will have to complete a quest of redemption if she ever hopes to return home. This will require her to overcome many of the most dangerous adversaries of the Ninth Age and master the mysterious magic of evocation. I mean, I'm hooked. Great. I
Awesome.
mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's weird hearing your words, your written words, said back to you or not, but I think that's a good
Yeah,
drawing point.
Yeah, no, it's great. You read it well.
Thanks.
I'm hoping at some point actually that we might be able to get an audiobook recording.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
So that will be even weirder, but that could be really fun.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I mean, that is a really nice little intro of what the book is all about. This video is not going to
Mhm.
contain spoilers for obvious reasons. Um, but before we talk about the content of the book and a bit about the story, I just want to have a quick kind of a shout out, I guess, to the creation of the book. And I'm just going to read from one of the first pages that you've got before the story gets started. So this story takes place in the world of the Ninth Age, which is the setting for Ninth Age fantasy battles and other games created by the Ninth Age product. This book was not commissioned or created by the project and is an independent work. However, the content has been reviewed and approved by the Ninth Age and is officially designated as canon material for the Ninth Age setting. So I mean that's awesome, isn't it? Really, because I mean that means it is fact in terms of the Ninth Age, right?
Yes, yes, this is the story is canon. It took a little bit of working out with the Ninth Age legal team. But yeah, we did want this to really feel like an official thing. It's not under the Ninth Age license, like the Creative Commons license that most of the books we put out are under.
Yeah,
So that's just so that I can sort of retain ownership of it because it is a
of course.
big creative project. But the content is licensed to the Ninth Age so that it can be official canon.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant. And you put, your sincerest thanks to your comrades on the background team.
Mm.
In particular, mention Ed Murdoch and Alessandro Vivaldi. Do you want to quickly mention those two, or anyone else that was
Yeah,
involved?
yeah. The I mean, the whole book obviously is based in the setting that was created by the background team as a whole, and so that's just a big privilege to be able to work with that setting, and a privilege to be part of a team that created it. Yeah, we've got a really good team, really creative people. Um, Ed Murdoch is the head of background. Absolutely brilliant leadership from him the whole time that I've been on the team. Been a real pleasure to work with him. And Alessandro is he does a lot of great stuff for the project. But he in particular he was leading the development of the Undying Dynasties background, which features heavily in the book, as you
Yes, it
probably
does.
guessed.
Yes, it does.
Um, uh, so so those were the two who were really reviewing the book mainly, and I yeah, really thankful to them.
Brilliant. No, absolutely. I think with anything like this, everyone needs a bit of assistance from time to time, not only with reviewing, but just in the motivation to keep going on a project so big as this. So yeah, really good stuff. So before we, well, let's actually get down to business, shall we? So basically, the book is going to be released on June 20th, which is only a few days
Hmm.
away, via Amazon, and it costs just 99p or equivalent. Pre-orders do help to get the book more widely seen, so spread the word and support the cause today. And we're going to include a link on this video for people so that they can get pre-orders in, or indeed one after the 20th June, so they can make their order. I'll just go through a little bit more of the info that you provided. Pre-orders are only available for ebooks, but paperback copies will be available for sale too on June 20th. The author, that's you, has pledged to donate any profits from sales of the book to the Ninth Age Project. Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted it to be a Ninth Age uh, product.
Hmm.
I'm not expecting like a huge amount of profit from it, but but hopefully we'll get something and that can go back to help the project.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's 99p just does state that you're
Hmm.
probably not expecting a huge amount of profit, because that's
That's right.
awesome
Yeah.
value for a really good story. And I mean, I'm going to throw in, this is the ebook version, at least how it appeared on my screen, is nearly 400 pages of story, which is awesome. And I think that's fantastic. It's well worth the money that you're paying for it. Put it that way. That's my little plug for you there. Um,
Thank you.
no worries, no worries. Now I'm just going to throw up this map on the screen, which is also included at the start of the book. So basically, I mean, I have to say, as a fan of historical fiction and fantasy novels, which this is, I guess it's a cross of the two because it's not real history, but
Hmm.
it's still a fantasy history, isn't it? So,
Hmm.
I don't know what is there a different genre that you would put this in?
Um, it's pretty squarely in the fantasy genre, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. I suppose I'm tagging on
Yeah,
historical because,
yeah, with some historical stuff, definitely. Yeah.
yeah, historical in terms of the Ninth Age, but yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. And I love a good map at the start of these books, so fair play, and
Mm.
it's a really great way of seeing the Ninth Age as well. So nice one.
Yeah, there's nothing better than opening up a new fantasy book and seeing a cool map.
Yeah,
Um, this one is loosely based on the one that was in the original Undying Dynasties big main
yeah,
book that got launched in 2015.
amazing. Yeah,
Um,
gosh, that was 2015. That doesn't seem like so long
yeah,
ago.
I know, I know,
Superb.
amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so I am going to put up a screenshot of the opening page just to show a snippet of the content and what it looks like. I have to say that I read through this story. I couldn't put it down once I'd started. So thank you very much for allowing me the privilege to be one of the first people to read it. I feel very lucky for doing
Of
so.
course.
The
Yeah, thank you for
characters.
saying.
Oh, no worries. No, it's great. The characters involved. I mean, I've mentioned Ankara. Is that how you
Mhm.
say Ankara, or would you say it
Yeah,
differently?
I think so. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. But I mean, she's not alone, is she, in the story? She's other characters. Mescal. I don't know if I've said that right. Um,
Yep.
yeah. Beatrix and Karen, and even the beloved scarab beetle Icky. Some
Hmm.
really powerful and loving characters that we get to see in the story. Anything you want to say about any of them or anything like that?
Um, let's see. You know that they're all inspired, I think, by other characters from stories that I like,
Nice.
and just the idea of having a team coming together on a quest kind of thing was
Yeah.
something that I wanted this book to be. I guess, yeah, that's the quintessential
Mm.
fantasy story, and so that's that's where I wanted it to go, I think.
Yeah, and it definitely feels like you have got a group of adventurers that come together through
Hmm.
circumstance in this story as it goes on. Each of them contributing different skills, which are obviously very Ninth Age related. There are like wizards and people that cast spells, people that can do well in combat, that sort of thing. I'm deliberately not saying who's who because we don't want to
Yeah.
go into spoilers and things, but and even the reference I made to the scarab beetle Icky, the creatures of the Ninth Age are very much
Hmm.
introduced in this as well, aren't they? And they're a very important factor. It's not just about the, well, human or semi-human, shall we say, characters
Yeah.
involved. It's the creatures as well, and it's really cool how they all come together as the story goes on.
Yeah, I agree that the beasts of the Ninth Age are a big selling point, and I wanted to have something that wasn't like a classic beast. I didn't want something from one of the army books. I wanted something a bit new, just to show that the sort of diversity and the possibilities of the setting. Um, so we ended up with a Egyptian flavored scarab beetle.
Yeah, amazing.
So yeah.
Actually, I'll hold my hand up and confess to something. It took me ages to see that on the opening page, like the graphic at the front of the book was actually Icky and behind her.
Oh right.
I didn't even see that
Yeah.
Icky was there, the giant beetle. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. And I have to say, like the story itself is absolutely action packed right from the beginning. It doesn't mess around. Right from the opening all the way through to the epic conclusion, which I obviously won't be spoiling, but finish this novel, folks, because it is well worth reading right to the very last moment. Definitely edge of your seat kind of stuff. And linking it to the Ninth Age, you've already touched on our protagonist, who is obviously of the Undying Dynasty's persuasion. But it doesn't take long before we're thrust into different Ninth Age factions. That's right, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah, that's right. It starts out in the in Naptesh, which is the sort of Egypt flavored Undying Dynasties land. But they have to, go traveling beyond there. And yeah, it was fun to have them encounter the different factions as they go.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I mention a couple of the factions that are
No,
involved?
absolutely. Go ahead.
Awesome, awesome. So this is just listing a few. So we have Warriors of the Dark Gods, Vampire Covenant, Orcs and Goblins, Demon Legions, and Kingdom of Equitane were the ones that I
Hmm.
wrote down. But I mean, obviously the Ninth Age world is full of lots of characters, so that's not limited to by any means. Um,
Yeah.
but I think you did a great job of introducing each faction individually as they come, and there's a definite feel that you think to yourself, yes, this is how I imagined this faction when you're reading the story. So really great job with that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
No worries. And it does mean that overall this book, the novel, it feels like a lot of the so-called fluff that fans will be interested is covered, and to see it in a story-based setting is really really awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
I hope so. Yeah, I think it is a good way to learn more about the setting for people who like the background.
Yeah. And one extra thing that you've included within this novel, which I particularly enjoyed, is that you include little sections at the beginning of some of the chapters. Like I say, I particularly found this enjoyable, and I am going to, if it's okay with you, read out this particular
Yeah,
one, if that's okay with
please,
you,
please go ahead.
because I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed all of the intro ones at the start of the chapters, but this one in particular was like really hit a note with me. And I appreciate that on the screen it is a little bit blurry, but that's either a mixture of my bad editing or spoiler free. But I'll read it out anyway. So this one, the start of chapter 5. The undead are the stuff of myth and fairy tale, an ageless terror for all living peoples. They arise from necromancy, the use of magic to infuse dead bodies with souls. To most, any such construct is an unspeakable horror, and yet the undead are not all the same. There are two main branches. The first are dynasties, those lands, peoples, or armies who, through choice or accident, are unable to depart the mortal realm after they die, and suffer a communal form of undeath together for eternity. The second are puppets, mindless dead controlled by individual mages. The most powerful and feared necromancer of this kind are, of course, vampires, who continue to live among every human nation, despite their persecution throughout the ages. The two kinds of undeath may be equal in atrociousness, but they are highly distinct in form and purpose. Only a fool would lump together an ancient warrior compelled by loyalty to its people with a freshly raised corpse driven to animal hunger by a foul will above its own. From the notes of Ilbin Al Sayud, Evoker First Class, and I probably have said his name wrong, or her name. But yes, I loved it. I mean, those little sections at the start. What led you to include those?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the background that we've done so far in our sort of official Ninth Age books has taken the form of these relatively short sort of excerpts. Um, Everything's in world, and I think that's a really cool way of portraying the background, and wanted to continue that with this book. So obviously, I didn't want to do like just short excerpts all the way through. So the main narrative is like one continuous, regular novel um, style. Um, but I did want to have a nod to that, and and it's also a useful way of communicating, uh, essential lore without having the characters have to say it all at length in the narrative. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was supposed to be a sort of fun way to to learn about the setting.
Great, yeah. I agree. This sort of thing really helps to engage the reader in the lore behind the story. Yeah, I think you've done a great job with that. Just as a quick question, how long did it take you from birth to release of this novel?
That is a good question. It was probably around sort of 6 months of writing it.
Yeah.
And then quite a lot longer to to have it reviewed and
Hmm.
then sort of do all the admin basically
Yeah.
to get it ready for publication.
Mm.
Um, and I've had the idea for even longer, I think.
Yeah.
Basically, since we wrote the Undying Dynasties background, I had the idea. Um, uh, so yeah,
Great.
that's
Well, I mean, 6 months of writing, that's pretty good going. That's pretty a lot of dedication to write such an awesome story in such little time, to be honest. I thought you were going to say a few years just writing the book, to be honest. So well done to you for
yeah.
cracking it
No, I
out.
did try and go quickly so that I didn't like because I whenever I've worked on stuff on long narratives before, I well not whenever but normally I get too bogged down and I end
Yeah.
up giving up. So I wanted to sort of push myself through as fast as I could.
Brilliant. No, really good. Okay, so as I said, we're going to put a link to how you can pre-order and or get yourself access to this novel. Thank you, John, for joining me today and for writing this, as well as those all involved as well. Hopefully, this will be the start of plenty more novels of this kind to come. Dare I ask whether you are working on another one by any chance, or is it top secret?
um yeah, I'm not actually working on one right now, but yeah, I would definitely love to do another one.
Mm,
It was really fun to do this one, and there's so much in the setting to explore. As you said, we encounter quite a few factions in this book, but there's some that aren't in the book really very much, other than
mhm,
sort of minor mentions. Um, so there's plenty of other places that you could tell really great stories. And maybe we'll get some books from other authors as well.
mm,
I would love to see that. Um,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was something
but
I was going to
yeah,
mention, really. Does it open the door to more Ninth Aged authors, potentially?
I really hope so. I do know some people have said that they would be interested in writing something. But I have no idea if there's anything that's really underway at the moment.
Yeah, no worries.
But I'm hopeful, and I think we should expect to see more in the future.
That would be amazing. Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me, John. I really hope that a lot of people get on board with supporting this because, like I say, I thoroughly enjoyed it and would very much recommend it to anyone who's into their fantasy novels or just wants to support the Ninth Age. So, yeah, follow the link that we put on this video. You can also find it on the forum. Is there any parting words or anything that I've missed that you'd want to add on the end of this, John?
Um, Not really. Just thank you so much for your kind words about it and for featuring the book. Um, yeah, nothing more to say. I hope
Great.
everybody is able to read and enjoy it.
Superb. Well, thank you very much again. And yeah, we'll end this video here and get on to ordering it, folks. It's ready for pre-order now, and in a few days' time, you can get hold of it. So thank you very much, and we'll see you all soon on Proxy Daily Game. Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much.